Welcome everybody, Adam has a podcast. We are in the middle of April right now. Time seems to be flying and I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling the time flying more than ever. I feel like I'm edging a little bit older, getting towards middle age, trying to push comedy forward in a good direction. So what have I been up to in comedy, you ask? This is how we start every week. This is what you asked for. This is what you get. So last week I only had one gig, I think, and that was in Altrincham. I was hosting Easy Cafe. Now it's an interesting environment, the Easy Cafe. Now what they do is they do one comedy night every month. Altrincham is quite an affluent area, and they do it on a pay what you want kind of basis. So it's a nice middle ground for comedians who are just starting the Easy Cafe and the pay what you want model. So how it essentially works is you get people who are typically on the open mic scene to comprise half of the lineup, and then another half of the lineup of people who maybe don't do the open mics as much. They're working their way into pro gigs, but they're not booked enough that all of their week is booked up with, paid gigs. So there we go, boom, this slot's nice in the middle to an empty week for some people, and you can go and it's a pay what you want kind of gig. The audience then can dictate how much they feel the gig is worth. So someone who's a right skinflint like me might be like, oh, my mate's paying, I give him my cash and walk out and not paid anything, and I've not paid my mate even, I've left my mate in the crap, and he's going to be like, oh no, I've got to pay double now. Or some people might be going, do you know what, I really enjoyed that, me and my wife came out tonight, here's 50 quid, we really enjoyed that, we've not had to travel anywhere, we've not paid anything on travel, we had a really good night, boom, 50 quid. And anywhere in the middle. So the emphasis then is on the acts to be good. You have to be good. You have to figure out how to be good. The open mic scene, there's no safety net with the open mic scene. However, there's no real danger either. So like, you're going into an environment where people aren't really laughing, but if you don't get any laughs, doesn't really matter. I had that countless amount of times when I was doing open mics. You do jokes, it'd just be other comedians looking blankly at you, waiting for their turn or for their mates to go up, so they'd laugh at their mates. They're not mates to you, so they're not laughing at you. That's just the ecosystem, that's how it works, right? It's not really a problem. But with this, there's a bit more jeopardy because you're going to get paid in line with how this show is. Now, if everyone takes the approach of, oh, I'm just going to doss it off like an open mic and just try new stuff and not really grafting, we might not get the best results. But if you're really working towards making things work and you're really trying to making it work, that's where you're going to get a better show, in theory. And then you get more money, in theory. So I like the balance of a pay what you want kind of night. There's been a bit of a kick-off actually in comedy at the moment because people are saying there shouldn't be a pay what you want night on a weekend. And I actually agree with that. There shouldn't be one of those on a weekend. A weekend should be professional gigs. Because for people who aren't in comedy, you put two shows on, both have got lineups of people you've never heard of, and in your mind you just go, oh, this is the same thing, it's all comedy, isn't it? Just like, all cheesecake is cheesecake, but then you see the flavour that you like and go, actually, I love strawberry matcha, so I'm going to get the strawberry matcha cheesecake. If you don't see strawberry matcha on the lineup, you're going, all these comedians, they're just bland flavours to me, but I do fancy some cheesecake, I'm going to give it a bash. One's 15 quid and once pay what you want, you go, I'm going to go to the pay what I want. And then if it's any good, I might even pay the 15 quid. But if it's no good, I'll just pay a fiver and leave. So there's been a bit of a kick-off about this. And I agree with it because, yeah, it takes away from pro gigs if you do them on a weekend because people don't know the difference. Then the pro gigs start to die. And then this is where it's a nice middle ground. But it's not a middle ground if there's nowhere to move on to. It just becomes the ceiling. So if you get rid of all the pro gigs, if all of those die away, because of the pay what you want model, then the pay what you want model is where you end. And then if you're in a bunch of skinflints like me, who all go, no, I'm not paying anything, well then you're working for nothing then, and you're always working for nothing, which I like the gamble sometimes, but you don't really want to be making your career off that. You want to be making a steady career. You want pre-booked tickets, you want guaranteed audience by paying pre-booked tickets, and then boom, then you can afford to pay acts. The acts can get better and better and better because they've got reliable work in front of paying audiences on a regular basis. And that's another big buy-in as well. Paying audience is a big buy-in because when you walk in off the street, the most abuse I ever get is on free comedy night. You heard the one I talked about last week. That was a free comedy night. Those that were coming for me in the comments calling me unprofessional when I was literally doing the professional thing by not swearing in front of kids. You remember the story from last week. If you've not, bet that's a bit of a catch-up for you. So those gigs are the hardest ones to play because the audience haven't paid anything. They think you're rubbish because they're not paying anything. And then if you're okay, they think you're rubbish. If you're good, they think, you're okay. And if you're really good, they go, wow, that was really good, that. You might have a future in this. But you've got to be really good to get any real kind of result from these people. Meanwhile, on a pro audience, they're more open. Sometimes they're more used to going to comedy nights. So they will judge you on maybe a harsher scale, but in a different way. Maybe they'll look at your jokes and be like, that was a bit easy, your jokes, they weren't overly complicated. I don't like it from that aspect, and that's an understandable thing too. I can touch on a bit of that in a second as well, actually. But yeah, so this was the open mic. This was the pay what you want gig, and I was hosting it, and I like hosting it because hosting is a different kind of skill. You've got to create energy in a room. You've got to turn what is essentially a room full of strangers into one combined thing, one audience where they're all on the same page and they're all having fun together, and you are in control of that. You're leading the orchestra, but you're not the main bass player. You're not the trumpet player. You're just the orchestra. You've got to keep things flowing and going nicely, keeping everyone on a nice steady pace. You've got to be engaging with the people who run the night. You've got to be engaging with the people who run the bar. You need to be engaging with the other acts, making sure, okay, I'm going to start in a second, you're on next. How do I pronounce your name? Is your full name your stage name? Your full name's not your stage name. No, I came a cropper on that one. I'm hosting the gig. Opening the show was a guy called Andy Wolf. Andy Wolf isn't his real name. Now, on the lineup that I got sent, it only said Andy on there. And so I could go into the listing and it had his full name because this is on Facebook where we were sending the messages to each other. But then I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure this isn't his name. So then I've got to check my phone and I'm going through it. I can't see it. So it's the first time I met him. So I thought, do you know what? Let me bank on it. I'm just going to guess and put all my chips on. Andy Wolf! And he came up to the stage and I asked the people outside, I went, is it Andy Wolf, his stage name? And they went, yeah, it is. I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. Because I couldn't call him Andy. I hate that when you go to a gig and they're like, oh, it's Adam. Lazy MC, and they couldn't be bothered learning your surname. They're not bothered about you whatsoever. It discredits you before you even come off on stage because the audience are just like, Andy who? Adam who? Like, what's going on here? So, yeah, he opened the show. We had a dropout end up happening, and then I was going to fill it actually with somebody else, and then didn't fill it in the end. So then Ben, who hosts the gig, he dropped in himself, but he performs there all the time. So he's like, oh, they've heard all my stuff before. Can you do a few jokes? And he's telling me this as I'm going on about to introduce him to the stage, and I'm like, okay. So then I've just got to go into jokes out of nowhere, which it did fluster me a little bit. You wouldn't think it would fluster you, you know. You tell jokes, that's what you do, that's what they pay you for. No, when I'm hosting that, I don't do jokes as much. I do them here and there, get them used to comedy. But I like to just ease off the material as much as I can and allow them to do the material. They can shine more, and again, you just be the bass, you be the orchestra, the conductor, should I say. So yeah, so I'm doing that, I'm hosting, I'm having a good time, I'm getting to know the people of the crowd. It's skewed older, it's skewed a little bit more posh, a little bit more wealthy. I don't mind those kind of audiences. I like those kind of audiences. When there's one set kind of people, you have to lock into their energy. This is one thing that I mentioned last week. It was a lot of older people, but then a lot of people under 10. The older people wanted a lot of vulgarity, they wanted swear words. Those are the things that we're really laughing at with the MC. However, there's young kids in the room, I was refusing to do it. It goes back to the professional thing that they accuse me of being unprofessional. Really got to me, that one. It annoyed me that. I thought, you don't even know what professionalism is. You think I was being unprofessional at this gig. The reason why I didn't do as well as I could have done is because I was too professional. Anyway. So, I'm emceeing, I'm having a lovely old time. I bring Ben up, Ben does a little bit, nice. We have a little break, we come back from the break. We have two more in the middle. We had, what was the guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name. The girl's name, Rhea Adams. I know her name, because she came with Jordan Ducharme. They're together, they're in a relationship. I know Jordan Ducharme, know him very well. Known him for years, so his girlfriend knew her name. The other guy though, and the first guy that almost caught me off guard, Andy Wolf, but I pulled it out of the bag. This guy's name was Rob Council. That's what it was. Got it right. I had it right on the night as well. Just that right now, it wasn't in my head. Rob, I'm pretty sure was his name, but definitely Council. So look, it was then the gig is flowing in this direction, ready for Jordan to come at the end. Jordan pro comedian, semi-pro, whatever he wants to categorise himself. I'd put him in that bracket over there. Jordan's then going to close the show. He's the one with the craft. He's the one with the ability. He's the one who's been going for years. He went up, had a lovely time of it, did jokes with them, got them all having a lovely end to their night. Here comes the big bit. I've got to go back on stage now. And you're thinking, Adam, surely you're a bit up yourself now. Why is your bit at the end the big bit? Well, I'll tell you for why. Because we need to do the pay what you want segment. So now I need to communicate to the audience that you may leave of your own accord. However, this was a free comedy night, but not a completely free comedy night. You see, it's pay what you want. Now, if you want to pay nothing, you can pay nothing. I don't really want to tell them that, though. I want to tell them, listen, this is how much it would cost you on a regular basis. If you're seeing acts like me and Jordan typically around the country, you're paying 15, 20, maybe sometimes 25 quid. Sometimes you see 30 quid and you go, blimey, now people paying 30 quid to see me. I think we've overpriced this a little bit. But either way, you want to let them know this. You want to go, this is how much it would cost you to go elsewhere. If you're going to travel into Manchester, you're paying for the tram, you're paying for this, you're doing that. Maybe then you got to buy a meal out. Here, we've come to you. We've cut down those costs for you. So one, you're not having to pay the ticket price. Two, you don't have to pay the travel. So pay what you can. Pay generously. Allow the acts to benefit from the fruits of their labour. AKA, please pay them kindly. So, that's the chat. Now, the room itself was about 60-70% full, which it happens. They're used to full packed, like proper packed rooms there. And I felt that they were a bit disappointed that it wasn't full. It had been bad weather, it had just been bank holiday weekend, so I completely don't blame them. These things absolutely happen, but 60 to 70% is a decent room. You can play that kind of room. The only awkward thing with the room is that there's like the front two rows were empty. So that made it a little bit more awkward because then the audience are just further back. There's a visible emptiness in front of them, which creates more of a mental barrier between you and them as a performer and audience. So that's one thing that you don't really want to do. That's the only thing that if I could have gone back and changed anything, I'd change the seating arrangements to be like, right, let's take out those back rows of seats, or even just take out the front row of seats, allow the comedians more room to walk around, and then we'll perform it in this kind of an area here. But overall, fun night, enjoyed it, enjoyed hosting there, didn't reinvent the wheel or anything like that. Basic hosting stuff, getting to know everyone. Oh, what do you do for a job? Who are you here with? Okay, tell me a little bit about that. I don't know anything about that. Okay, how long have you known each other? How did you meet? Interesting stuff. Just getting to know each other, throwing a little joke here or there. Simple stuff, simple stuff. And it is something that I want to continually get, because I think MCing is something that you can quite easily and accidentally do a decent job at MCing. It's not like being a stand. It's like being a decent, good enough job, passable stand-up. I think is much harder than being a passable MC. To be a passable MC, you just really have to just keep things ticking over, do the rules, get the crowd understanding what they need to be doing. There's some things that you definitely need to hit, but I remember when I was first starting, like being able to do this after maybe 2 or 3 times hosting, whereas 2 or 3 times doing comedy, like it was going okay, but you won't be able to just put on the bulk of a show as a stand-up, if that makes sense. But yeah, fun day. Now that day, I'd read some feedback from promoters that I really respect. I really respect these promoters, and I read some feedback about my set. Now, it was difficult to read, to be completely honest with you, because it wasn't overwhelmingly positive, which you want it to be, of course. And it was feedback on 2 separate gigs that I'd done. And different people had seen them, and it'd come from one, then it became one bit of feedback. And the first one I thought was very fair. I can't remember exactly what was in it, but I remember thinking, when I did that first show, there was 40 people in a room bigger than 40 people. And everyone who was backstage was like, oh, this is the quietest. Oh, they weren't even saying quietest. They were saying, this is the worst I've ever seen blank at this place. Let's just call it the chair club. The brown chair club, because I've got a brown chair right next to me right here. So I'm at the brown chair club, and everyone else who does it more often than me says, oh, this is the worst I've ever seen this. I've done it loads of times. And I've only ever done this place, the brown chair club, once before. So I do the brown chair club, I'm opening the show at the Brown Chair Club, which is the hardest slot of the night as well. And it doesn't go that well. It doesn't. And I've completely understood that even whilst I'm on stage at the Brown Chair Club. And I'm a bit not upset, but I'm a bit annoyed with myself because I'm like, oh, even though it was quiet, I didn't get the most juice out of my squeeze. Even though they put me on first, I didn't get the juice out of my squeeze. Because I think it's very easy to make excuses for yourself. And it's very easy to say, I was on first, it made it hard. Oh, there's only 40 people in the crowd, it made it hard. No, someone, the right act, would have been able to get a lot of juice out of that squeeze. And you just happened to, on that night, at the Brown Chair Club, not get the best out of it. So when I got that feedback was in line with the level of performance that I put in on that night. And I have to accept it. I have to accept it because I thought it was quite fair, the feedback that I got. Then I did the Brown Chair Club again. I did it a second time. And this time, the Brown Chair Club is, if it's not full, it's over 85% full. I cannot see emptiness in the Brown Chair Club. I'm going on first again. However, I have what I would call again, my memory's not mega on this one, but I would say a good gig. I wouldn't say an amazing gig. If you float it between 7.5 out of 10, maybe you'd float it in those numbers. But I felt, you know what? I'll give a decent accounting of myself here at the Brown Chair Club. Hopefully, they're going to look at this because I've done the Brown Chair Club before. And in fact, I've done it twice before where it was the same thing. One night was good feedback, and then the other night was could be better. And I thought it was fair. I thought it was completely fair the first time. Completely fair the first time, I thought. This time, there was a bit of a note about the kind of material that I was doing, which I found quite interesting because they were saying how my material could be more, could explore my background more, which I explore my background a lot in my set. Now, what I do a lot in my set is, and they said, this was one thing that they said that I did disagree with, is he said that there wasn't a lot of nuance to my set, which I actually disagree with this bit. I didn't say that to them because, listen, they have a complete right to their opinion. They run the Brown Chair Club. They've asked someone who works on their behalf to give feedback for me at the Brown Chair Club. I can't then just say, I disagree. No, it's your club. You run the Brown Chair Club. Like, your feedback is valid because this is what your expectation is. But when they mentioned there's no nuance, I thought it was quite interesting because what I do a lot in my set is I use stereotypes which are typically used against my people, Pakistani people, Polish people, Muslims, stuff like that. I use these and I bounce them off each other to show that they're not true. They're not true whatsoever because I use complete opposites on purpose to show that they're completely not true. And I think it's because of the way that I deliver and the way that I come across, which when I'm on stage, I try to be like, hey, look at this, and I refer to myself as thick and I say all this stuff, that I think that they buy into that character a little bit too much and they don't realise the nuance which is there. My end joke has a lot of nuance within the joke, which again I feel like there's a piece about feminism within my closing bit where I don't even mention feminism, and to people who understand the topics that I specifically mention would be able to pick out, oh, this is actually quite a nuanced bit about feminism. That people aren't actually properly picking up on because of the way that he delivers it. So the nuance is there, it's just buried, and that's the whole thing with nuances. It's not out in the open. I'm not going, hey, feminism. I'm going, oh, and then, oh, I see what he's doing there. But the thing is, they don't see what I'm doing. So, yeah, that's one thing that I did think, oh, but again, how do you communicate that to someone? I also think that there's definitely what's the term, a cultural not divide, like blocker maybe, where if you're not in tune with Pakistani culture, maybe you don't understand what I'm saying to the point where I'm saying it. Because if you're only in British culture, let's say, and I say a certain thing, which is a stereotypical thing that white people say about Asians, but you don't understand the context of which Asians run that stereotypical thing through, and you don't see my and you don't maybe pick up on what I'm doing with my facial expressions, or the way that I say it and tone of voice that I say it, maybe you're not picking up on what I'm saying, if that makes sense. And listen, I'm not the kind of comedian who goes, oh, I'm a very nuanced comedian, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. But it's only when I saw that feedback where it said, something about not having enough nuance on, could have been more nuanced or whatever it said, that I thought, wow, there's actually quite a lot in there that, to me, but it's this is the thing, it's my material, so of course I understand it. I understand how I wrote it and why I wrote it and all these things. But I say all that to say this, as I mentioned earlier on, it's up to the Brown Chair Club to decide what they think of me. And if the Brown Chair Club think that I went and I did the show twice, and one time it didn't go great and one time it went good, then I'd look at the overall feedback and I'd go, yeah, it was fair. That what they're saying there is fair, to be honest. That, whatever you want to say about the circumstances, less people, open the show, whatever, I need to go in and next time the Brown Chair Club allow me to go there, I need to take that opportunity to be like, right, I'm going to get the most juice out of this squeeze right now. And if I can have a chat with the people doing it, I might try to and just say, listen, I understand this is what you said last time. Can we talk about my set a little bit? Have you got a bit of time to do that? Completely okay if you don't. I'm just a little bit wary that, like, I'm getting feedback about stuff that I don't know. I don't. Would that even be appropriate? I don't even know if that would be appropriate to even do, because it is a frustrating thing. Because you do want to stand up for yourself a little bit, but I guess this is a very awkward thing with being a new stand-up, and you're trying to prove yourself to people and doing gigs for people where you're looking for feedback and looking for essentially their affirmation, their cosign. They're like, you're all right, we'll have you back again. Because when you want to work for the Brown Chair Club and places like the Brown Chair Club, you need to do it. You need to do it, and you need to impress them, and you need them to trust you as an actor. And I suppose that's the overarching thing that I want to work on. So, valid, take their opinions on board, but now it's been in my mind to write more stuff with nuance involved. So I like that I got the feedback. I like it because maybe now, with more of that stuff in my forefront, maybe I'll make it more obvious. But then it starts to get to the point where, am I blabbering about this? I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Because this is the thing as well, is I just come off as well this weekend 2 amazing gigs. One at Creatures, one at Manford's Comedy Club. And both went so well that, like, if I was to show that footage to anyone, they'd be able to look at that and go, that was really well done, that. You've done a good job there, actually. But, yeah, this is one thing that they told me as well, which I probably agree with on this. They said that my set needs to come off a little bit less rehearsed, and I completely agree with that. And I think this is the thing, is when you go to places like the Brown Chair Club, part of that anxiety and part of the anxiety of opening and being in front of a smaller crowd gives you that thing of like, oh, go, just switch back into autopilot, do the job like that. And then you're a bit more robotic, you're a bit more wooden, you start to deliver in the same cadence that you would just do it maybe a couple of years ago, and then it sets you back. But again, that's probably where the experience comes in of getting more and more opportunities in bigger places, because that it's so invaluable, the opportunity to perform in the bigger places, because it gives you a more comfortability level, and then you are a bit less deer in headlights when you're thrown into an environment like that where you want to improve yourself and you have all these little doubts in your mind. Oh, you're opening, it's going to be a bit harder. Oh, there's less people, there's going to be less laughter in the room. It's going to be harder to get them on sign because laughter's contagious and the more people gets rolling. The more experience you got, you just rock in there and be like, okay, like the big time pros who do this like Ansiet tie behind the back, they just do it so easily. So there is room for growth, absolutely, for me. And that's what I take on board. That's the biggest thing that I look at from it. and I appreciate getting the feedback that shows me, right, you could do with getting a bit better. You could do with getting a bit better. And I thank them for that. And I hopefully keep getting opportunities, keep pushing forward, keep going. That was that. Where am I this week? There's a big question. Where am I this week? So Thursday, which this will probably drop on Wednesday this week. In fact, I might as well tell you why now. So Thursday this week, I'm pretty sure it's going to drop on Thursday. So I'm just going to tell you about it now. I filmed. It's usually called 5 versus 1. This time it was 6 versus 1. And it was Guess the Pakistani. Now, I won't give too much away. But I filmed this a couple weekends ago on the Easter weekend on the Saturday, right before I went to that Manford's gig. So I was out the house all day and I filmed 2 game shows with them. I filmed this one and a slightly similar one. And it was a lot of fun. And I liked that feeling of, I was a bit nervous because when you're in these game shows, it's Guess the Pakistani, right? So everyone around you is kind of all singing off the same hymn sheet. They're all using the same playbook here and the same joke book. So we're all talking about a lot of similar themes. So I in my mind was going, right, they're going to ask me this question, they're going to ask me that question, they're going to ask me this. I have funny answers for these questions, but then beyond that, just be in the room, keep cracking on, and when something happens in the moment that you can make funny, boom, make that funny in the moment. But if you need to, you can use one of these lines. Most of the stuff I came up with, they didn't even ask me that stuff. One of the things I had in my mind was, if they ask me what kind of a job, I'm going to say this kind of job, and then they're going to ask me this specific follow-up question, boom, I've got this answer already. They didn't ask me that, so there's a lot of multi-layered things that I had lined up that they didn't ask me. But I'm looking forward to seeing that release, to be honest with you, and seeing how the show comes off, having been there in person, because you film for about an hour, 2 hours. But the show itself will probably be about 30 minutes, something like that. So I wonder how much they cut out, how it goes. And I wonder how I come across. Obviously, I'm going to be using it for clips as well. So I'm going to clip it, put that online, see what happens, see what kind of a effect that can have for me. Hopefully it can have a positive effect for me going forward. Draw new people to my channel, people who may have never seen me before. They'll get an opportunity to see me in this kind of thing, which again, I don't really do these game show type of things. So it's an interesting new experience. Hopefully I'm going to be on another one soon. Again, I don't want to give away too much, and this is the reason why I'm dropping it on Wednesday, this podcast. It's because I think that's going to drop on Thursday. So I'm going to drop this on Wednesday, plug it, ask people to watch it as I usually do, send it all over the place. Then Thursday, when that drops, then I can send them that. Instead of sending them 2 things to watch on Thursday, then they have to pick and choose between the 2. Send this on Wednesday, boom, send that on for Thursday, and then that'll be that. This week's gig though, Thursday, which like I say, I'm going to be looking forward to that coming out, but Thursday I am going to be in Sale, closing the show for Jack Wood, and it's a new material night, so I'm going to take some new material with me. I don't have an overabundance of new material, especially, I don't really have stuff that I've not tried. I mean, I've got the stuff that I wrote in Hull 2 weekends ago. I wrote about 5 minutes about going out to eat, and I don't know if it's funny or not. So because I'm closing the show, I don't know if I'm going to risk doing 5 full minutes, which is 1 full joke. I don't know if I'll risk that, but I'll take as much new stuff as I can and try and get a tune out the audience that way. So looking forward to doing that. And then Saturday, I'm doing my solo show at Lancaster Comedy Festival. If you're in the Lancaster area, please come and see me. I've sold about 10% of the tickets so far. Bear in mind, I'll be honest, I've not advertised it yet. I think I might have put 1 post out. I need to put another post out. I need to push it a little bit more and actually try and get people through the door. So that is Saturday. I'll be doing my solo, and I've not done my solo show in ages, so I'm a little bit apprehensive about that because I've not done my solo show in so long. I've not even looked at my solo show in so long. I did want to go back over it, improve it this year. Maybe this show will be the impetus for me to kind of re-look at it, re-reflect. So maybe look at it with that recent feedback that I got from the Brown Chair Club and have a look at, okay, where am I going with this show? Where do I want it to be? Because I feel like I am ready to finish this show, get it finalised, record it out there, do a little tour. I did a mini tour last year in 4 or 5 different towns. Go back out on the road, tour it around, And then after that, record it, put it out there on YouTube for everyone to watch. I'm ready for that. I'm a bit nervous about who will watch it and how many people will actually watch it, but yeah, I need to do it. I need to just get it out there, let people see it, get it recorded, and kind of just move on and try new stuff. And I think that's where I need to be in my comedy. But then again, I guess that's the thing is I'm very new in my comedy career. I'm not even 8 years in. Yeah, people say that you need to be 10 years in to do a special, so maybe I don't even need to just get rid of it. Maybe I just need to write a new show. Maybe I need to come up with a new concept and go, do you know what? Yeah, I can finish it. I can stop doing it. But I need to write a new show now and I need to get a new show moving. So maybe that is what I need to do. But I think Lancaster will help me this week. My mate Jack Kelly and Jimmy Shirley, they're doing a joint show straight after me. So I'll probably stick around and watch them. And then, yeah, it'll be interesting for me to re-dive into that show. So maybe these last remaining days this week, I'll be fobbing it over and going through it and seeing what can I improve on and where the gaps are, what needs to be cemented a little bit more. Otherwise, what else have I been up to? I watched the relaunch and I watched the entire series of it. Malcolm in the Middle, Life is Unfair. Now, Malcolm in the Middle is one of those weird shows. I didn't really watch it properly as a kid. I've catched the odd episode and I didn't used to really like it. But I think it was on TV. It was on Sky One at maybe 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. I was out at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. I was a kid. 6 o'clock on a Saturday night is like 10 p.m. on a Friday, Saturday night for like a 22-year-old. Like, that's prime time to be out the house and spending time with your mates, isn't it? So I didn't really watch it a lot as a kid, but I remember at uni, I went back and I watched the entire thing and I enjoyed it. Watching this relaunch, I enjoyed it again because I'm connected to these characters since I was a kid and then since that rewatch at uni. But while I was watching it, I was like, this wouldn't be that good if this was a new show now. If this was a new show now, I don't think I'd be hooked by this. I'm not really sure. This is another thing I think as well when I watch these things. I go, I'd love to be in this, you know. I would love an opportunity to be in this. There's people in this show way younger than me. They'll be casting for people to be in this show. I would love an opportunity to be in this kind of a show. So that's kind of one of my aims as well, is to maybe be in a relaunch of a show that I watched growing up. I think that should be one of the bucket list things of something that I do really want to achieve. Move a little bit towards television, maybe do a thing or two in TV. Maybe there should be goals and something that I work towards, because that would only help my comedy as well. The amount of times you see online and it's like, oh, need someone, but they must have a TV credit. If you've got a decent TV credit, especially from a comedy TV show, it's really, really going to help you and really, really push you forward. So that's something that I'd like. And obviously, you'd love to be in something that you watched when you were a kid. Like the Scrubs reboot is on at the moment. They're dropping like episodes week by week. I think that's just finished actually, so I've got about 2 or 3 of those to catch on. But yeah, Malcolm in the Middle, this relaunch and rewatching it through the eyes of like an adult man, I was like, it's all right, but it just didn't really hook me. Do you know what I did watch this weekend though? I watched 3 teenage films from when I was like 12 years old, and I think that is the secret to adult happiness, is watching stuff from when you were about 12 years old. I think that might be it, because wrestling in those days was amazing and I love going back and watching that wrestling. And I started off with Cruel Intentions. Now, Cruel Intentions is a very sexually charged film if you've not seen it. And I didn't really remember it. I watched it once as a kid, and it's one of those where you flick it on like halfway through. You know, back in those days when that's what you do, you'd flick on the TV channel, a film would have started and you'd be like, oh, I'll give this a watch. That's Sarah Michelle Gellar, that Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know who that is, I'll give this a watch. And I watched it this weekend, and I thought, it's a good job I didn't watch this film all the way through as a kid, because it's very sexually charged. I can only imagine what it'd be doing to the chemicals in my brain and elsewhere in my body, watching that as a kid. And then on top of that, I watched Road Trip. Road Trip is, like, for me, it was so funny back then. Again, you watch it back through the lens of 2026 and you're like, oh, I'm not too sure about that joke, actually. I'm not too sure about this one either, but it was a great bit of nostalgia. So if you've not seen Road Trip, right, let me explain Road Trip to you. It's a film about a couple who are both in uni, and one's in New York, which is the east coast of America over here, and one is in Austin, Texas, which is on all the way on the west coast, on the other side of America over here. So they're literally hours apart. Drive-wise, hours and hours, days apart probably. Even a flight is like probably 5 hours from one place to the other. So it's a proper long-distance relationship. High school romance, go off to uni, not seeing each other, and he's trying to get in touch with her. Bear in mind, this is the day like before everyone had a mobile phone in 2000, so he can't get in touch with her. So he records a video. He records a little thing on his camera, and he puts it on a video cassette, and he's just talking to the camera like he's doing love songs and whatever. And he sends that tape by mail to, well, he leaves it on his table, and he asks his roommate, do me a favour, send this to Michelle. I think she's called Michelle. Send this to Michelle for me. Okay. So, boom. That night, he's up, and he's not hearing from her either. So he's ringing the number, and she's not picking up, and then apparently she's ringing back, and he's not hearing it. And again, this is the days before you had a missed call log on your phone. You can't see who's phoning you. If that phone rings and you don't answer, you don't know. There used to be a number, what was it, like 151 or something like that in the UK that you could call back, and it'd be like, you were called at 8:12 today by 012004. You know, it would go through that. So anyway, he meets this girl at this party, and he ends up, you know, doing the adult rude thing with this woman at this party, and they record it. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, what kind of a uni girl in the year 2000 was just meeting, well, no, they already met each other, but like was just getting with this guy on a night out, and first time, boom, getting camera on, recording that for him to keep forever. I'm thinking, this is a little bit extreme, isn't it? This wouldn't happen. Anyway, next morning, he's like bouncing, he's having a great time. And everyone's like, you're having a good time. And he's like, yeah, me and Beth last night. And they're like, no, you didn't. He's like, yeah, I did. And he looks at the camera. Anyway, they all start fighting over it. They put it in the machine, and it's his romance video for his girlfriend. And he's like, no. Oh my goodness me, I sent the wrong tape to Beth. So now they go on a road trip. They go from one side of the country to the other, and they go to find Beth. They get into Michelle, and they get the tape before, that's the aim. They get into all kind of hijinks on the way there. And it was a very fun film for its time, and I love going back and watching those kind of things. I feel like those films, like I said before, it's the key to joy. These ones, like for me, American Pie 1 and 2, Road Trip, Van Wilder, Harold and Kumar, Scream 1 and 2, all these films from that era when I was young, growing up watching teenagers. You're watching this and you're thinking, this is what it's going to be like when I'm a teenager. Everyone's so cool and beautiful, and I'm going to be hanging out, and I'm going to be doing real stuff and having fun times and parties and, you know, sports events and concerts, and Final Destination, chuck that in there as well as a TV show from the time. All these films like used to make me think that as a kid, and I think it gives me that nostalgic feeling of like hope for the future, even though like I'm way past that in life now. I feel like maybe it's just that feeling that it gave me back in those days that I like. Anyway, after that I watched Euro Trip. Now I've always thought Euro Trip was a sequel to Road Trip, and it's not. It's nothing to do with it. It's literally just a film that came out just after it, and they made the name Euro Trip so that they could piggyback off the success of Road Trip, but apparently it's nothing to do with it. And this one's a little bit more slapstick Euro Trip, and obviously it starts off with the classic Scotty doesn't know, whoa, whoa. So don't tell Scotty doesn't know, whoa, whoa. Like, honestly, in terms of a song that was created in the universe of a movie, like Hustle and Flow was like, it's hard out if when you're trying to make the money for the rent. You know, that was one as well, Hustle and Flow. Eminem, he had those freestyles in 8 Mile. But in terms of all the songs created in the universe, there's never been a better one than Scotty Doesn't Know. What a track. Anyway, so then the story is that he's got this like a pen pal via email called Mike from Germany, and his mate's like, oh, I bet Mike's a pervert man who wants to touch you. And he's like, no, Mike's not like that. Anyway, Scotty's girlfriend Fiona breaks up with him. The band sings Scotty Doesn't Know that Fiona's been cheating on him with the lead singer. He tells Mike, Mike replies back being like, oh, maybe I can come to America and meet you up. He's like, oh, you are after touching me. No, boom, never message me ever again. So then Mike goes, right, if you don't want me to message me, you're blocked then. There, done. And then the little brother reads the emails and goes, why are you not happy about this chick who you're emailing? It's not a chick, it's Mike. He goes, no, it's Mika. It's a German name. And he goes, no, look at this picture of Mike and his blonde cousin. He's like, no, that blonde is Mika. That's his cousin. And he goes, that's not his cousin. That's Jan. No, Jan is the man. He's going through all this process. Anyway, boom, they go on a Euro trip. They go to England and then France and Germany and Italy, Amsterdam and then Germany. Fun film. The Scoozy scene on the train, classic, so quotable. The bit where he's in the Vatican in Rome, classic scene. Love it. Loved watching it. Absolutely had a time this weekend going watching that stuff. Yeah, really fun time. Really fun weekend actually. Mentioned before, someone that I know has had a baby, so I went to visit the baby. They're so like fragile, bless them. I'm like, they're like, do you want to hold him? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what if I break? I don't want to do anything wrong with him. Like, he's just like a baby. You look at them, they're like, oh, bless him, but I don't want to do anything that's gonna hurt this thing. I don't want to like, because you're supposed to protect the neck, and I'm like, how am I supposed to protect? I don't know how to protect a neck. Like, who look like the Wu-Tang Clan here? Anyway, lovely time seeing it. Time flew by. I ended up spending all Sunday with the new parents and the baby, and just being there to support them a little bit. And I think it's a nice and lovely thing to do, and it like I say, really flew by. And when we went, we had a great time being there as well. So, yeah, really good. It takes a village and all that, and I think any support that you can give new parents, I think, is probably a good thing as well. And it's not something that I've really done much before. I remember when one of my best mates, Thomas, Latvian Thomas, the sleek man, sleek man Thomas from Latvia, when him and his wife had his first daughter, we went like I think the first weekend after they had the daughter. And that was the same then, like you're looking at her and you're like, oh, bless her, like, they're so fragile, but like, I've never done it before where you've gone and spent a long time, like, with the, parents. And you're just doing basic stuff like, oh yeah, I'll hold him for a bit, yeah, no, I don't mind, yeah. It eases you for a little bit, you get a little bit of a break, you can just relax, and if he's crying, I don't mind, like, trying to be like, oh, don't cry, oh, don't cry. Don't go. We all do the same baby voices. Don't go. No. Oh no, poor boy. Don't. We all do the same voices, don't we? Bless him, little kid. So hopefully, touch wood. Hopefully, he has a long, beautiful, successful life. For the little kid. So, this is one thing as well. I went and bought this earlier. I went and bought my. I'm a bit thirsty, Matt. And it just made me think that I can see it in front of me. I left it here so I could drink it during this pod. This is the thing, is it going to be awkward to drink a smoothie because it's a weird bottle shape, isn't it? And now I feel like I've got a smoothie mustache as well. That's attractive, isn't it, Adam? Yeah, do that. Do that where you suck your lip in and like get rid of the excess smoothie juice off your lip. That's what people want to see. My bump on my foot's going down, talking about gross things on my body. The bump on my foot going down. Touch wood, it'll be gone soon, and yeah, that's one thing to not worry about anymore. But I want to go for a run. I do want to go for a run. I want to get back into fitness a little bit. I feel like I've left it now for long enough. It's been like 10 years since I was going to the gym on a regular basis, like, properly every day. I went for a little bit about 8 years ago, but that wasn't very regular. And since I've stopped playing hockey, I need to just get back into my fitness. And I don't want to be like a bodybuilder, and I don't want to be like the guy doing marathons every other month and all that kind of like you see on Facebook or climbing mountains. I don't have time for anything like that. I want to do stand-up comedy. That's what I want to do. But I want to be healthy still, and I do want to be in decent nick so that like I'm moving up a close size. I'm moving up. I've been medium for like all my adult life, basically. I'm going up to large now. I'm moving up to the larges, and I don't mind being a large, but I'm also thinking I don't want to get so extra large. I don't want to move from medium to large to extra large in this small window of time. And I've got all these medium clothes that I'd like to fit back into at some point. I don't know if I ever will. Now I'm up to large. I call it going up in weight class, you know, because I'm a bloke, and that's a boxing and UFC thing. Speaking of boxing, I watched Mike Tyson Fury, not Mike Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury this weekend. That were on Netflix, and it were rubbish. It was, I say that, I think we've got this very casual view about boxing, where, like, we look at it and go, oh, it's rubbish, this. I'm like, yeah, it's not an entertainment product. It's two massive whoppers beating 7 bells out of each other. I wouldn't want to be in there, and I also wouldn't want to be risking life and limb just to put on an entertainment for someone sat watching Netflix. So, but I didn't like it. I'm a UFC fan. I'm not big into me boxing. I liked boxing when I was younger, but since seeing the UFC, it's like going from checkers to chess. Once you know that there's more movement in the pieces, you go, like, oh, I don't really want to do this basic thing anymore. If we don't have chess and we've got to play checkers, I'll do it. But yeah, I say all that. I'm rubbish at chess. I think I've lost every game of chess I've ever played in my life. Maybe I was right. I am thick. Yeah. Then the UFC this weekend. The guy, I don't know, this is the thing is, I'm a bit out of touch with UFC. It was Yuri Prohaska versus some guy who I don't think I've even ever heard of before. The other guy injures his knee in the first round and knocks out Prohaska still and wins the match with one leg. And that was amazing to see. I couldn't believe that. I was like, whoa, what is going on here, man? That is amazing. So yeah, I had a full weekend of watching stuff and visiting people and trying to make the most of spare time. And yeah, maybe I'm ready to be an adult now. Maybe that's what's happening in my life, is I'm ready to be an adult. Yeah, I do think about life, and I mentioned this last time. I don't need to get that deep again, do I? We can just move on and move forward. I'll tell you what I did do today. This is one thing I did as an adult. I went to Sainsbury's, and this is where I got obviously my Sainsbury's little juice from. But I went to Sainsbury's because I heard there was discount Easter stuff. So I went there for the little Malteser bunnies. Didn't have any Malteser bunnies. Was disappointed. They had lots of mini eggs, but they were $1.25 a pack, and I felt like, oh, maybe it's cheaper in B&M, so I'm not going to buy them for me. I'll have a little look in B&M one day. Didn't go to B&M because obviously I had my little juice here, didn't I? I didn't want it to get warm in my bag, so just came straight home, drank my juice, jumped on podcast with you lovely, lovely people. That was the interesting stuff I did today. Oh, yeah, I've been looking into movie treatments. I've got one thing which I didn't realise was a treatment properly, but is a treatment, essentially. I've got one movie treatment kind of sorted, which I'm going to bank that. Moving forward, I think I'm going to start talking to some agents and seeing if there is any interest out there. I feel like I need to put myself out there a little bit more. I feel like I need to be at least asking the questions of people, because this is the thing in life as well, is we're scared, and me specifically, I don't like asking things of people, ever. And when it's an industry where you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to get opportunities, unfortunately, they're not going to come knocking on your door. And every now and then they'll put out a call and ask people to come knocking on their door. But for the most part, they're not doing. And you've got to find the balance between not being too forward and not being annoying and just reaching out, but also not just sitting on the sidelines and letting time pass you by. And I don't want time to pass me by. I want to have an appropriate level of growth. So that's an interesting thing, isn't it? And that's something that I'm a bit like, I don't know. Where do I sit here? I'm trying to figure it all out, essentially. These are things that you think of as a stand-up comedian. You'd think stand-up was an easy thing. You just get out there and you tell jokes on stage. But it's not so much that stuff that is the difficult part. The difficult part is the industry side of the things and trying to get people to even know who you are and give you... Because knowing who you are is one thing. Like, getting an opportunity is just a way bigger thing than that, because sometimes they'll give you an opportunity without knowing who you are. You'll send them your CV and you go, this is a bit of my information here. These are the people who booked me at the moment for paid work. I would love to be on your roster of paid people as well. Brown Chair Club, for example. I'd love to be one of the people. You're someone who I really respect. And they'll give you an opportunity, and then, like I say, without knowing you. Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. It's something that, I've got to figure it out. I've got to figure it out for myself, and maybe that is where an agent would be good. And maybe that's why I do need to maybe reach out to agents and see if there is any kind of interest there. Because if there is interest there, and I can get someone, especially a good agent who's going to progress me way more. I think any agent would progress me more than I can progress myself. Because I'll still be trying to push myself. It's just they'll be able to do more stuff as well. And if I can do that, I might be onto something. It might just let doors open up and stuff like that. I don't know. No, I don't know. I always say I don't know. What do you do? What do you do? I think that's a pod, guys. What do we think? Any thoughts? Anything you would like to discuss with me? Anything that you want to know from me? Now all I'm thinking about is what do I do to move myself forward in comedy? Who should I be emailing? Who should be discussing? Maybe I need to wait for my footage back from Creatures Comedy Club. I think once I get that back, that would be good, because that would demonstrate a very up-to-date gig that went really, really well. And hopefully, if I get that footage, I can send it to prospective promoters, bookers, agents, the like. Maybe I will get a little bit of interest in me. What do you think?